Welcome to the Real News Network in Baltimore. I'm Kim Brown. Activism pushing divestment from fossil fuels that are the main drivers of global warming and climate change has seen a dramatic upsurge over the last few years. And as a result, almost 700 institutions across the globe representing funds worth over $5 trillion have made some form of divestment commitment. This is according to the campaigning group Fossil Free UK. And in the United Kingdom, there are currently divestment campaigns targeting pretty much everything from local councils and churches and faith groups, as well as church organizations, health organizations, charities, pension funds, banks, and of course, universities. And our next guest is someone who achieved the very remarkable feat of getting his university in London to agree to divest from all fossil fuels by the year 2022. So how did he accomplish this when others had failed previously? In part by participating in an 8-week-long campaign of direct actions that culminated in a 14-day hunger strike. And joining us now is that very person, Roger Hallam. Roger is a PhD student at King's College at the University of London, and he joins us today from the UK. Roger, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
So, Roger, let's start off with you explaining what exactly it is that you have been able to achieve at King's College and how exactly you were able to achieve it.
Okay, so last summer I went to some of the students at King's College, where I'm at, to inquire about helping to achieve their objective, which was to get King's College University to divest from all fossil fuels. They'd engaged in about 4 years of campaigning, doing sort of conventional stuff like petitions, demonstrations, sitting on committees. They'd made some sort of symbolic progress, but they weren't anywhere near achieving their objective of getting a statutory commitment, as it were, to divest from fossil fuels. And I do research in how to design radical campaigns. I suggested a more effective way of achieving the objective would be to engage in an escalation of direct action. So I helped to design that escalation involving students spray chalking the walls at the universities and putting various things on the walls like flowers and statements. And as you say, that culminated in a hunger strike. And over 8 weeks, they totally changed their policy.
So what is it that led you to decide that this was a path worth taking? Because after all, a 14-day hunger strike is quite a very serious course of action.
Well, you can look upon it morally, or you can look upon it like from a social science point of view. From a social science point of view, from a political science point of view, and that's what I am, a political scientist, I suppose, you can make the observation that the entrenched power systems aren't going to change, will not change unless they're seriously challenged. And the main mechanism in modern societies for challenging entrenched power systems is through escalations of civil disobedience. And my empirical observations are that the structures in our society aren't going to change without escalations of direct action. And engaging in the sort of NGO strategies of persuasion, consciousness raising, aren't unfortunately going to do the trick. So that was the hypothesis, as it were, and what happened at King's College was an example of what can be achieved if you engage in escalation of direct action.
So since your success at King's College, there have been other similar actions directed at the University College in London, for example. So what other actions are you aware of, and how successful have they been?
Well, yeah, since we were successful here, there have been other actions involving spray chalk. This is like washable chalk, which is put on the walls of institutions. And that's happened at maybe 5 or 6 different places. I'm not sure entirely. It's just spreading as a tactic. And it's been meeting with some success. But I think what needs to be emphasized is that is that change in this situation isn't brought about without creating quite a lot of drama. And that involves an irreducible amount of sacrifice on behalf of the campaigners. And if they're not prepared to engage in that risk and sacrifice, they won't win. And if they are, they will. So I'm saying this as a social scientist role. I'm not trying to tell anyone what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying that it's not going to happen unless people are prepared to be suspended, lose their jobs, and go ultimately on a hunger strike or some related activity. Because this is what brings people to the table, is when there's a lot of drama going on, and the costs to the university or the institution have risen to a state where they can't avoid negotiating.
So, Roger, as I understand it, this is not a course of action that you arbitrarily decided to embark upon. You are involved with a network of activists and academics. Can you tell us about the joint efforts that you and these other organizations are trying to achieve, not only in the UK, but in other places around the world as well?
Yeah, basically, we're trying to look at what it takes basically to bring about radical change. And obviously this is important from a climate change situation. And we're questioning the strategies and tactics that have dominated, progressive or radical left for the last generation. We're widening our net and looking at strategies and tactics which have been used in the global south and more historically in the Western world, such as the civil rights movement states, for instance, and we're trying to introduce a wider range of tactics to activism rather than what's happened before. And the main literature on the subject, I suppose, is pointing to sort of mass civil disobedience as the main mechanism through which peaceful change is brought about when you've got a big block in the political system. And of course, with climate change, unfortunately, there's a massive amount of naivety. You might even call it illiteracy on the part of the political forces at the moment, that they think they can solve this problem without major political confrontation, which is about as unrealistic as saying that climate change isn't going to happen. There's no way we're going to get the change that we need now without this sort of escalation of action.
Indeed, we have been joined today with Roger Hallam. He is a PhD student at King's College at the University of London. Roger successfully embarked upon a 2-week campaign in order to encourage his school to divest from fossil fuels by the year 2022, and he was successful in that. Roger, we want to congratulate you and thank you so much for being here with us.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Thanks.
And thank you for watching the Real News Network.